Hey everyone, we're back with a new episode of With Love Soleil. And the topic for today is the new paradigm. So this is something that you hear me discuss a lot on this channel because to me, building a new paradigm is equal to building a new world. That when we think about how to pull ourselves out of all the ailments of humanity right now and all of the sort of growing pains, I think that we're feeling as we collectively rise into a new way, to me, the new way is the new paradigm. And because it's such kind of a vague term and a vague way to kind of describe what's possible, I thought it would be helpful for me to get very clear on what I mean by that, because, I think it would be easy to think of the new paradigm as like this sort of futuristic reality, like the Jetsons or something, or maybe like Atlantis or Lemuria, this sort of spiritually developed way of being, spiritually developed society. And I do think it's that, I really do believe that the way to save humanity is that humanity saves itself ultimately. And how do we do that? But doing our work, that's so much about what this channel is about is, ultimately self-mastery, but the different avenues, different pathways to taking ownership over your life, taking accountability over your life, and really, really, truly doing your work. And so when I think about the new paradigm, to me, it's not like we need to like bulldoze all the buildings and like collapse all the systems and write a whole new storyline. I think much of that will happen naturally as we evolve and develop spiritually in this direction, as we ascend, so to speak, collectively. And it's still at the system, right? Like there's no question about that, obviously. But the system ultimately is the people, right? Like we have to be real about that. We have to take accountability that whenever we, talk about how pitiful society is, or the system is, or the government, or whomever else, all we're talking about is the people that comprise those frameworks. And so all the arrows always point back to fixing ourselves. Right? If every single person sat down one day and they're like, you know what? This is it. I'm not going to be an asshole anymore. Like I'm going to take full accountability over my life. I'm going to recognize that I have work to do on myself, that I have development spiritually, emotionally, psychologically, and that I'm going to actually address myself. I'm going to actually use all the opportunities that life is constantly giving me to see myself, to understand myself, and to figure out and fine tune how I can become a better person continuously. So I'm going to focus all my energy on that. To me, that's the solution. That's the new paradigm. All people doing that, right? That's why when you see me talk about what I talk about here or on Twitter or Instagram or wherever else or in person, this is literally how the types of conversations I have all day. I recognize the problems, but I don't spend too much time there, because to me, my energy is the most valuable currency I have. So if I'm spending all my energy beating the dead horse of the problem, I'm wasting a lot of power that I could just be channeling into the solution. So to me, my work personally, and I'm not knocking anybody who like raises the awareness around problems, because I feel like that's necessary, right? There's still certainly necessary roles for people to say, hey, this here is a problem. And if people don't do that enough, then the problems just kind of go unchecked, and we have problems running around the world, right? So I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but for me personally, my energy feels best spent on giving it to the solution, feeding the solution, which to me starts with me sitting down with myself, checking myself, asking everybody in my life, giving them full permission to check my blind spots. Like to me, that's a major love language. If you can tell me something about myself that I'm not able to see, or if you have an experience of me that you feel like I'm not totally aware of, like make me aware. That's love to me, major love. Because it is true that we can see ourselves in a certain way, in many certain ways, when it's just us and in meditation, and as we go kind of through the journey of our spiritual development, inner self. But what I also learned, and even the past couple of years in particular taught me, because, I spent a good 10 years kind of on my own, doing that inner work by myself, meditating many hours a day, really, really actively in my own space, in my own energy, recultivating, remembering who I am. But what I found after so much time is there were still pieces of me I couldn't see because I didn't have the mirror of a relationship, or I didn't have the mirror of community. A lot of that work for me was done in solitude. And I was in my little lone wolf phase. It kind of felt like I had to do it by myself. And I think on some level I did. I really do think on some level, some of this work you can only do on your own, by yourself, in solitude. There are components of it that require that energy, that awareness, that attention from you and you alone, you and whatever you believe in. Also, though, there are pieces and components that require the mirror of another, the mirror of love, the mirror of relationship. So it's all of it, right? Like humans in our lives, people, connections, relationships, they are all 100% a necessary component of our own development. That's how we see ourselves better. If nothing else, see who we don't want to be, what we don't want, what we're not willing to tolerate, right? Like they all have something to teach us. Every single person can be a guru in some way if you just hear the wisdom that they offer you, the mirror that they hold to you for you to see yourself just a little bit better. So that's one way, right? That's one way to build the new paradigm, is to say, I'm going to use every single person that crosses my path to see myself, to understand myself, to check my balances a little more clearly. Well, that's one way, one way of committing, right? Another is just taking care of yourself, body movement, exercise. Like I'm a huge, you've heard me talk about before, huge, proponent of exercise, a huge advocate of exercise. Because I think taking care of your body in that way, I think the physical body requires movement. It requires also eating well and taking good care of it. Like we only have this vessel. And so we can't act like we're so lifted that we don't have to take care of it. Like, to me, it's a commitment to your path and a commitment to your divine assignment to take care of yourself, this physical human body. We can't spiritually bypass the body. It's not going to work. You can't be so high vibe that you don't have to tend to your vessel. There's a disconnect there. So it's understanding the importance of embodiment, being in your body, figuring out what that looks like, staying grounded and rooted in this human experience. Because while, yes, much of the new paradigm is dependent on the spiritual evolution of humanity and of humans, which again happens on an individual level, it also, though, requires, spiritual development happens in the body, right? It happens in the human experience. And so the work then is to kind of you sort of ascend. I think energetically we develop from the base chakra, root chakra, up through the crown. But then to me, the real work is to come back down and be in your body. It's funny because I think we have this idea that once you reach nirvana, which, many people have been in that state of just pure ecstasy, and you're just kind of, it's sort of like guru consciousness, and it feels so good and it feels good to others. And it's so amazing to stay there, but you can't stay there and avoid and deny your human reality. The whole reason you're in this body is to integrate that truth into real time, into your human experience, and to play your human role. So wherever you are on your journey from up, down to up and up, back down, or on self-mastery or spiritual development or your spiritual journey or whatever you believe in, as long as you're on the path, as long as you're saying, I know there's more of me to come. I know that I have work to commit to so that I can continue to be a better person. To me, you're giving your energy, you're feeding the new paradigm. Because there are too many people in the world, and unfortunately, a lot of them lead the world, who are not doing this work at all. In fact, whatever they're doing is quite the opposite of the new paradigm, right? These crazy folks who are at the top of the pyramid because they're wealthy and the elite and whatever, bro, you need to sit down, you really need to meditate. If we're being honest, I can guarantee you most of those crazy people do not meditate. It shows, So, but the beautiful part of all that I'm talking about and of the new paradigm is it's a natural progression into more of the human experience, and to more of being a spiritual being in a physical body. we all know that it's like such a cliche to even say, but it's so true. And yet so many people are disconnected from one or the other or both, their spirit or their body or both. The mind, the ego, has ran so crazy rampant with us, with society, with humans. I think that it's somehow disconnected itself a bit from those two major components, right? We exist multidimensionally in every moment. We have this body that's talking to us and informing us and guiding us in many ways. We do have this powerful mind that's a great tool. What's the saying? Like, it's a great tool, but a horrible master. Yeah. Definitely. It is definitely that. We have a spirit, we have energy, body and being and field. We have emotions, we have experience, like we have so many multidimensional ways that we're showing up in each moment. And yet our minds have become so strong, which is not a bad thing, because the mind is a very powerful tool. But again, a poor master, because the mind and ego are interconnected, and the ego's only job is to protect itself. The ego's not looking to get better, right? The ego thinks it's the king, it's good to go, everybody else is an idiot. Like, that's the type of energy that the ego runs. And if you're humble enough to come down from that, you notice, oh, wow, not only do I have multidimensionally other facets available to me at every single moment, but there's a lot of me still left to develop. So that development to me is what I'm talking about when I say the new paradigm. It is every person realizing the actual excitement of like, there's so much more of me left. There's so much more of me left. I feel that every single day. And also, and I'm continuously becoming more myself, which feels so good to me. Is like the ultimate reality. The supreme reality is just the being in your body, remembering who you are, speaking your full truth, honoring and respecting yourself, living out the full total experience of being in this human role. And also recognizing that it is the human role. And while you have a responsibility to that role, to your assignment, you are still also and simultaneously so much more than that. So much more than that. In fact, I led a meditation class the other day where we just sat in the question of like, who is the one aware of the thoughts? Who is the one aware of this experience? That is actually, to me, who we really are, right? Like the full awareness, the clear sky, the neutral witness to all of it, and also the human. Because it is true that there are many spiritual people who seem to still kind of bypass the humanity, right? The love and light energy, which there's nothing, it's not bad. It's like a level of development, but just as we can't stay in the mind, we can't stay always in love and light, because the human experience is not always love and light. The spiritual journey itself is absolutely not always love and light. It's total destruction at times, because just like in the world, much would have to kind of collapse for the new to be born. Same thing happens on an individual level. A lot of the ways that we think that we are, labels or identities that we align with as we develop in the human, have to collapse so that the actual us can emerge. This is like the phoenix rising from the ashes type energy. So I wanted to give you that because I think that a lot of people have different ideas of the new paradigm, and I'm not saying that mine is right, but to me, this is what I mean when I'm saying that. And this is why I encourage so completely in all of my work and everything that I do, and my whole purpose is to encourage you down your own path. Right? If anything that I says is like, that doesn't sit, it doesn't hit, that it's either not for you, or there's another truth for you. Maybe the opposite is true for you at the time that you're hearing that. And so the reason I've said it is for you to know that the opposite is true for you. I have no attachment that anybody believe like I believe or see things how I see things. That's not why I'm here. I don't think that sameness in thought and in texture is the point. I think that actually diversity of thought, diversity of texture, diversity of humanity is very much the point. And if you see who I'm around everybody. I move with everybody. I move with anybody who's willing to take accountability for their most supreme experiences. That's who I'm with. And that comes in all human variations. And I really love that about my people and my community and my audience, everybody. It's all of us. It's all of us. And it will be all of us that rise into this new paradigm. And it is all of us doing this work. As alone as it can feel at times, it is absolutely all of us. You are absolutely never alone. And as soon as you really need someone, as soon as you need that mirror or that love or that intimacy, it's already there. That's the magic of this, is that we do have our lone wolf periods and phases, but what you really need will always be available to you at the moment that you need it. That's how magic this is. That's how supported you are divinely, beyond words. You know, I feel like the number one phrase for people who are really on this path is like, you can't make this ish up. Like really and truly, you simply cannot. You cannot sit down and write the script of how absolutely incredible the spiritual path is. Devastating and tragic, 100%. Love and light, also 100%. But also the whole conglomeration of it is the most spectacular thing you ever experience on the human journey. So I don't know why more people don't do that. I guess it's, you know, people are still afraid of themselves, but we are not. If you're watching this and you're on this path with me, I trust that you are someone who's sat with the truth that there's more of you, that you're on the path of figuring out what that means, and then bringing that light, bringing that truth, bringing that texture to the world wherein we all rise together. So thank you. Thank you for doing this work. It's powerful. You are powerful. And I'm really honored to have created this community and group where we can all just stay committed to bringing forward a new world. See you guys next time.